Hey, this is Emily at Inflatable Kayaks, and in this short video I'm going to help you decide whether the beginner's choice is the right choice for you, and also to explain a bit about why I've put this package together with the items that I have. So this is Kathy. She was a beginner who got the AdvancedFrame, which is the kayak that features in this package, and I just love her comments. I could stay out all day if the weather permitted. I really love this kayak and can't wait to get out paddling again. So that's a pretty positive response from a beginner kayaker, someone who's really never done much of it before. What is it about this kayak that's so good for beginners? Well, first things first, it's relatively wide and it's got a flat hull, so it's quite stable, right? Nobody wants to fall out of a kayak, especially a beginner. If you're a beginner, it's a bit scary, it's a bit embarrassing, it's a bit cold and wet, and it can even be a bit dangerous. So, having something that's really stable not only prevents you from falling out, but it makes it a bit easier to get back into. So that's a really big plus. It's also really easy to paddle. Now, that might sound like an odd thing to say, but you would be amazed at how many kayaks just go in circles. Now, the pros make it look easy. They sort of have their whole technique going, and they make it look like it's easy to get that thing to go straight, but it's kind of not. So you really need to choose a kayak that's going to go straight on its own. All you need to do is give it a bit of propulsion, and that's what this kayak does. Now, part of the reason it does that is it's got a fin on the bottom, but actually a more important part is it's got this aluminium rib frame design. So you'll never see this aluminium rib. It actually sits inside the kayak. But what it does is it makes the bow and the stern cut into the water and kind of acts like a skeg, so that this kayak tracks really beautifully. It's very easy to paddle. I have lots of beginners who've never paddled in their life who just jump in and away they go. And there's me. So this was actually my first kayak when I was a beginner. And one of the things you'll notice is the way I'm sitting. So I'm very comfortable there. I'm kind of sat back and pretty well relaxed. And that's because of a couple of great features of this kayak. So you can see that the seat here has a really high back. It's very comfortable, very supportive, and that the seat clips in very high on the inner tubes, which means it really is supporting you. You can actually sit back and relax in this kayak. And the other nice thing down the bottom here is you're basically sitting on a bit of a lilo. So you're cushioned under your bum. Now, when you're first getting into kayaking, it's going to push some muscles and some part of your bodies that haven't been pushed before. It's going to be a new experience for your body. So to have some comfort, to be really supported and be sitting on something comfortable, is going to make it a much more enjoyable experience until you get a bit more used to it. It's also very durable. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to necessarily bash it around, that every beginner kayaker bashes their kayak around, but there is a bit of a learning curve in how to handle it and in how to take care of it and, in how to not run into things. So to have a durable kayak is great. And the way that Advanced Elements have made this kayak so durable is it's actually made of multiple layers. So the inner tube is encased in an inner tube cover. This inner tube. It's actually got a cover around it. And then it also sits inside this outer shell. So you really have to get through 3 layers of material to cause a puncture, so you can go ahead and run into whatever you like pretty much. Not only that, but that hull layer, the bottom layer, is made of PVC tarpaulin, which is extremely thick and durable material. So they really, almost set a challenge. Try and puncture me if you can. The other thing they've got, if you were really worried and you didn't have a lot of confidence on the water yet, is the multiple air chamber design. Okay, so it's not just one big inner tube that if you puncture at your cactus, there's actually a wall down the middle of the inner tubes so that you have 2 main chambers, so that if the worst happens and something happens to one of your chambers, you are actually still afloat. So that makes a lot of beginner kayakers feel a bit more comfortable. Now, the great thing about inflatables is that they come in a bag. You can take them on planes, trains, automobiles, boats, caravans, whatever you like. But the really good thing for a beginner kayaker is that you don't have to spend money on roof racks. They add quite a lot to the cost of purchasing a kayak. And you don't want to go and get a cheap kayak as a beginner because they're actually terrible to paddle and you'll have a really bad time and then you'll never want to kayak again. So that's not a great outcome. So how do you sort of meet this compromise where you're not going out spending $5,000 on a top-of-the-line kayak and roof racks? Well, you sacrifice the roof racks. You can get a really good quality inflatable at a really good price, and then there's no more to pay. You know, once you get this package, I have specifically set this package up so that there is no more to pay. You don't then find out later that, oh, I have to get roof racks, or oh, I have to get this, or oh, I have to get the other. No, that's it. You know, it's in the bag, so to speak. It has a huge capacity, this kayak, and a couple of other great features. It's got these Velcro paddle holders on each side so that you can not only strap your paddle there, but also a fishing rod, you know, whatever you want. Now, this is great for beginners because getting in and out of a kayak can be something that requires a bit of skill and a bit of learning. So whilst you're figuring out how to get in and out of a kayak, you can actually strap your paddle on so that you don't lose it. It's got some really comfy handles on the bow and the stern, so if you've got someone to help you carry it, or you want to carry it around, you can do that. And it's got some bungee lacing on the front with D-rings and some D-rings on the back. So, you know, if you were, again, a beginner and you were a bit nervous and you wanted to take some gear with you, maybe you wanted to take a pump, maybe you wanted to take some snacks just in case you get lost, you know, a map, then you've got plenty of storage space to do that with this kayak. Now, the other thing that's really important is ease of setup. So when you're a beginner, you're not often going to go out for hours and hours or days and days at a time to start with, are you? You're going to start up with small little ventures, just a casual paddle. So what you don't want is a kayak that takes 20 minutes to set up, okay? 20 minutes to set up for a 30-minute paddle is just not going to happen. So this AdvancedFrame is really nice because it's very quick. As you can see, all he's done is unfold the kayak. He's inflated the first chamber. Remember I said there were 2 separate chambers for safety. He's inflated the second chamber. He's inflating that lovely lilo floor. There's a couple of deck lifts. These are optional. They just help keep a bit of water off the deck. And there's an inflatable combing for the skirt. If you wanted to go ahead and get a skirt later in your ventures, you could. Again, that's optional. He puts in the deck separators, clips in that really nice seat. That's the old seat there. They're nice high back seats now. And you are done. Now, that was sped up, but in real life, it takes about 5 minutes. Okay, so 5 minutes from your car to on the water, you can't even beat that with roof racks, you know. It's awesome, and it'll give you that incentive to pop in your car on the way home from work, go, oh, I feel like a paddle, I'll just stop in and do it. Okay, now the other thing that I absolutely love about this particular kayak, the AdvancedFrame, and the reason I recommend it for beginners, is that it's great for a quick run around. So you can see one of my customers there is just taking it out, that's a teenager, just taking it out for a quick paddle. But it's also got the capability of doing multi-day expeditions in some pretty serious water, okay? So that's actually from an Arctic expedition. You can see he's got the kayak spray skirt on there. But you can, you know, 136 kilos, you can load it up with gear. And the ability to take it out in open ocean and with a spray skirt means that there's really not a lot of limit to what you can do with this kayak, because what you don't want is a beginner kayak that lasts you a little while and then you kind of have to upgrade. So I love that this kayak will take you through your whole kayaking journey. In fact, we've even got a package that's the next step up from this one, the Flying Solo package, and it's ever so slightly different in that it's got the spray skirt here. For, you know, as you can see, this guy's wearing the spray skirt here as well. If you're going to do something a bit more adventurous, go out in cold water, you might want to, or open ocean, you might want a spray skirt. And it's got the drop stitch floor. Now, the drop stitch floor is a technology that they use in stand-up paddle boards. It stitches the top and the bottom of the floor together so that you can get to high pressure. And what this means is you get a bit more speed on the kayak. So if you're going to start covering some serious distances, that would help you. You can actually take this even a step further and get a rudder system. This uses foot pegs so that you can steer with your feet. You can even go fishing. If you go fishing, I recommend this product called the DuraFloor. It basically protects that lilo floor from hooks and knives and fish and whatnot. So, you know, a really versatile kayak. But it's not just the kayak. So this is a Beginner's Choice Kayak Package. So what does it come with? Well, I wanted you to be able to go away with this package and, like I said, no more to pay, nothing else left to get, really. So you've got a paddle, and this is the Touring 4-part paddle. The reason I like this one for beginners is it's nice and light. So beginners usually don't have a huge amount of strength to start with in terms of kayaking. You know, they're not used to kayaking. So we don't want to sort of hammer your muscles with a really heavy paddle. So this is nice and light, but it's also got a big blade so that if you sort of need to get some power, you can. It's got a dry bag set. This is just for like phones, keys, cameras, that kind of thing. Sandwiches, whatever you might want to put in. If you don't have a lot of confidence as a beginner, this is great too, because you can even take a towel, change of clothes, so if the worst happens and you fall in, you can get yourself sorted out. It comes with a pressure gauge and a foot pump. So I like the foot pump because you don't have to bend over. It's quick and easy to use. You just stand upright and pump a bit. And the pressure gauge is because, as a beginner, and especially if you're new to inflatable kayaks, it's really hard to know what is the right pressure. And a lot of people are frightened of overinflating the kayak and damaging it. So they put in less. And unfortunately, you don't get a great performance from the kayak when it's underinflated. So especially as a beginner, it's important to have some sort of pressure gauge. Okay, now who is this not for? Well, if you were a very, very tall person, as in well over 6.5 sort of foot, or maybe 6'5" and above, you would look at the AdvancedFrame Expedition Elite. This is a longer version of the AdvancedFrame. Okay. If you were never going to go in open ocean and the idea of getting into a small cockpit kind of horrified you, you want to look at the AdvancedFrame Sport. So this is the same kayak basically. It's the same length, the same width, but it's about 4 kilos lighter, and it's got a very wide open cockpit here, so it's easy to get in and out of. And what it means though is you can't put a skirt on. So that's not inflatable combing, that's just a bit of foam. Okay, so if you're going in open ocean, that wouldn't be suitable, but if you know a lot of people know they're never going to do that. If you're going to fish basically all the time, although you can fish from the AdvancedFrame in the Beginner's Choice Package, it's not a custom fishing kayak. So you'd want to check out our Straight Edge Angler Pro, which has all of the bells and whistles for a great kayak fishing experience. And it's not for whitewater, so this is very much a flat water kayak. It is designed to go straight, as I said. In fact, it's awesome because it's designed to go straight. If you're doing whitewater and you need to be able to turn quickly, you want to check out the Attack, which is our custom whitewater kayak. Okay, so as I said, this was actually my first kayak, and I loved it. I had a blast with it till it was unfortunately stolen from my garage. But, that's me, and I'm selling it, so I thought you might want to hear from Jeff, who is not selling it. He was a customer of mine. Hello, Emily. The kayak did not disappoint. Initially, I was impressed with the stability of the craft. I settled into it immediately and in no time was stroking confidently and making great pace going upriver against the current. I was also very pleased with the kayak's tracking ability, and yes, the comfortable seating position was an added bonus I did not expect. The kayak has to be my best buy of the decade, and thanks for your part in all of this, especially with your help and advice in helping me to choose the AdvancedFrame. Cheers, Jeff. So if you think this kayak is right for you, go ahead and get the Beginner's Choice Kayak Package, and I really look forward to seeing your pictures and your feedback soon.